Exclusive contract novel from Feilu Novel Network. Tennis. People on the Immovable Peak, I fishing for the flying thunder god traveling through the world of internet kings. Jiang Tianyu became a newcomer to the Bu Dong Feng tennis department. I can play tennis a bit, but not much. Fortunately, he awakened the Wanjie Fishing System. A fishing rod enters the water, and various abilities and props are constantly flowing. Congratulations to the host for catching the Bloodline Eye. Do you want to activate it immediately? Open. In an instant, all kinds of ball paths were nowhere to hide. Congratulations to the host for catching the bouncing bomb. Do you want to use it immediately? Sleeping slot. Original. Use. A ball like tennis ball, instantly crushing the court. The more you fish, the stronger Jiang Tianyu's strength will be. Countless geniuses who fought against him were all shattered by the beating of their hearts. Takahiro Tezuka. He's my nightmare. It's even more terrifying than my hand injury. This is the truly magnificent technique. It's unique. Yukimura Seishi. The biggest mistake of Tachibana is to be enemies with him. On that day, when Jiang Tianyu stood on the world stage, professional players could only bow down and pay homage. Feilu Novel Network reminds you that this novel and its characters are purely fictional. If there are any similarities, they are purely coincidental and should not be imitated. Chapter 1. Selection Competition. Let's catch something first. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Tokyo City, in the morning, the sunshine is bright. On the campus of Bu Dong Feng High School, there is a sports stadium. This game is over. The score is 6.0. Yamagami Hara has lost his qualification for the game. As the referee's voice fell, the tennis team member named Swa Yamagami walked down the court dejected. On the other hand, Ichiro Watanabe, the backup player of the stationary Peak who was fighting against him, waved his racket contemptuously. At this level, it's a waste of time. Next one. As soon as the words fell, among the crowd around the stadium, a new freshman walked out in fear. Today is the day for the selection of the reserve group for the tennis department at Bu Dong Feng High School, and many new members of the tennis department have signed up to participate. The crowd around the stadium is densely packed, almost packed. However, so far, there have been 5 or 6 newcomers competing. But still no one was able to win a game from the backup player Ichiro Watanabe, let alone win. This result also made the captain of the stands, Ju Jiping, very dissatisfied. The regional competition is about to begin, and he also wants to find a talented talent among these new players in the tennis department to see if they can further enhance their strength. So far, not a single one has been successful. Too weak. This is his evaluation of the newcomers who will participate in the selection competition. On the field, another game has already begun, but the result is still evident. In just a few minutes, the newcomer was kicked off again, and this time he even cried. How strong. This is just a backup team member. It's over, we're no match at all. In that case, we might have to pick up the ball for the rest of our lives, damn it. Is the gap really too big? Countless new students are crazily discussing. Originally, they were full of confidence in the selection process, but now everyone is feeling immense pressure. At this moment, in the crowd, a young man was clearly different from them. He held his head in both hands and even looked a bit bored. Why hasn't it arrived at me yet? Jiang Tianyu reluctantly pressed his lips. He has been on the field for almost half an hour now, but it's not his turn to go on the selection stage yet. Standing still, his legs are numb. After listening to him, his classmate Qiuyang gave him a blank glance. Big brother, your order is the last one, don't you know it yourself? Ah. Is that right? Take a look at the signboard over there. Jiang Tianyu was taken aback and quickly walked to the notice board next to the field. Looking up, I saw that his name had a serial number of 20 on the first day of the selection competition. 20 people were arranged, and he happened to be the last one. When can we expect this? Can't we hurry up? Jiang Tianyu slapped his head and felt numb. It was probably evening when it was his turn. In fact, Jiang Tianyu is not a person from this world. A week ago, he accidentally traveled through the world of Internet Kings. After arriving, he found himself a newcomer to the Bu Dong Feng tennis department. I can play some tennis, but not many. Originally, Jiang Tianyu thought he could just hang out in the tennis department, but when he crossed over, he suddenly awakened to the Wanjie Fishing System. The system gave him an invisible fishing rod, and as long as he was fishing in various small rivers, streams, and ponds, he could catch various abilities, props, and other things from all over the world. Isn't that a direct takeoff? With their own fishing system, they have the ability to directly catch impressive points. From now on, unify the world of Internet Kings, marry by Fume, and reach the pinnacle of life. A perfect and refreshing article. As a result, Jiang Tianyu spent a week fishing, but only caught some fragments of physical fitness enhancement. For example, adding 10 shards to your reaction ability, and adding 10 shards to your speed and strength. His incredible ability, which he pondered day and night, never touched a single one. So much so that Jiang Tianyu was very suspicious that this system was definitely deceiving, just like the "please refer to the actual product" on the snack packaging. However, although I didn't catch the amazing ability, at least I caught a lot of enhanced fragments. Therefore, relying on fragment reinforcement, Jiang Tianyu felt that his tennis skills should also have improved by leaps and bounds, so he signed up to participate in the selection competition. With my current strength, it shouldn't be a problem to deal with the backup player Ichiro Watanabe. I just don't know if I can beat the regular player. Jiang Tianyu touched his chin and continued back into the crowd. As soon as he stopped, there was a sudden ding in his mind. Today's fishing reminder: should the host immediately go to the river to fish? This is a daily reminder from the fishing system to prevent the host from forgetting. Jiang Tianyu looked at the field, and only then did the seventh person come on stage. It's his turn. I don't know when it will be. Forget it, boredom is also boredom. Let's go fishing for something first. Jiang Tianyu still held his head and turned around, walking towards the outside of the stadium. Jiang Tianyu, what are you going to do? The voice of classmate Qi Liangtai quickly rang out. Jiang Tianyu did not turn his head back. Take a walk, come over later. In no time, Jiang Tianyu had arrived at a small river on the back mountain of the school. There are many people walking around, talking and laughing. He sat down with a stone and said, "System, bring up my fishing rod." Next second. Whoosh! An invisible fishing rod had slowly emerged in his hand. This fishing rod cannot be seen by anyone else, only Jiang Tianyu can see it clearly. Therefore, every time someone sees Jiang Tianyu reaching out and making a fishing move by the river, they will treat him as a fool. Jiang Tianyu didn't care about these things. He clenched the fishing rod in his hand and gently swung it. With a splash, the fishing line enters the water, creating a ripple. I don't know if I can catch any fun this time. Jiang Tianyu propped his head up, his eyes filled with anticipation. The system's fishing has one opportunity every day, which can last for 1 hour. And every time we fish, we accumulate experience points to improve the frequency of fishing. After a week of fishing, Jiang Tianyu's current experience points are almost full, but there is nothing impressive about him. He all doubted whether his fishing posture was wrong. Could it be that he had to kneel down and be more devout? And just as he was thinking so, the fishing line suddenly moved. Jiang Tianyu quickly drew the fishing rod, and soon the system sound sounded. Congratulations to the host for catching the enhanced fragment, which has been automatically used. Strength plus 10. Congratulations to the host for catching the enhanced fragment, which has been automatically used. Skill plus 10. Jiang Tianyu is speechless. Damn it. How come it's a strengthening fragment again? I've been fishing for a week, but it's all this stuff. On a different train of thought, this is also a kind of luck. But just as he showed disappointment on his face and threw the line into the water again, not long after, the system's prompt sound came again. And this time it's clearly different. Ding! Congratulations to the host for catching the Flying Thunder God ability fragment. Do you want to use it immediately? The next second, Jiang Tianyu jumped up from the stone excitedly, 2 meters high. Sleeping trough. Here we go. I just said it's impossible to never catch good things, right? Chapter 2. The Last Newcomer. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Excited heart, trembling hands. I've been fishing for a week now, and finally I've gained some unusual abilities. Use. Without any hesitation, Jiang Tianyu immediately used the fragments of the Flying Thunder God. Quickly, various information about the Flying Thunder God had entered his mind. The system has the ability to fish in all worlds, and the ability in the fire shadow is naturally not a problem. Based on the information in his mind, Jiang Tianyu knew that his Flying Thunder God had made certain adjustments according to the world of the Internet King. When moving on the court, you can use one hand to make a mark and then mark the tennis ball. Once the marking is successful, no matter how the tennis ball flies from any angle, Jiang Tianyu can instantly flash in front of the tennis ball and make a counterattack. This can almost guarantee a 100% return rate, so he will never miss any goal. In addition, he can also use tennis as a medium to mark the landing point of the ball. That way, he can also quickly dodge from any position on the field, achieving a ghostly posture. Just these 2 points are enough to ensure that he moves freely within the field. Aren't I already invincible? Jiang Tianyu touched his chin and couldn't suppress his smile at the corner of his mouth. I originally thought that after fishing for a week, I didn't catch anything good, so I was feeling depressed. The result now is a Flying Thunder God, which directly dispels his depression. Hurry up and strike while the iron is hot, catch more fish for a while, maybe you can even bring up even more amazing ability fragments. Sitting on the rock with his buttocks down, Jiang Tianyu threw out his fishing line and continued to fish like an old monk sitting still. Time flows minute by second. His strange posture quickly caught the attention of countless passers-by around him. Strange, is this guy fishing? Isn't it? He didn't even bring a fishing rod. So what is this doing? Who knows? Maybe I thought this pose was very handsome and deliberately pretended to be forced. After a while, I don't know how long it took, but Jiang Tianyu couldn't catch any more good things. It's actually a basic strengthening fragment, bouncing upwards with all its might. Congratulations to the host for catching the enhanced fragment. It has been automatically used, creating +10. Congratulations to the host for catching the enhanced fragment. It has been automatically used, with a speed of +10. Congratulations to the host for catching the enhanced fragment, which has been automatically used. Strength +10. At this moment, his experience value in the fishing system is also steadily increasing. As the system was about to upgrade, a sudden shout disrupted Jiang Tianyu's thoughts. Jiang Tianyu! What are you doing here? Jiang Tianyu instinctively put away the fishing rod, although others couldn't see it at all. Looking up in the direction of the sound source, I saw my friend Qiuyang staring at him as if he were looking at a fool. Oh, it's nothing, I'm staying here to recuperate. Fishing does indeed nourish oneself, and Jiang Tianyu did not lie. Upon hearing these words, Qiuyang remained speechless. You still have the mood to recuperate here, it's your turn soon. Hurry up and go. Is it my turn? Am I not the last one? Oh my, we lost so quickly. We had to switch players in less than 10 minutes. Let's go quickly. Okay, then I'll go over now. Not long after, the two of them had returned to the stadium. At this moment, the second-to-last candidate had just stepped down from the field. The score is still 6-0, which is too cruel. The new couple seemed to have been beaten and cried, and their eyes were filled with various grievances. On the field, Ichiro Watanabe lifted his racket and pointed it towards the nearby crowd. His mocking voice quickly came through. With just your level of strength, you want to be in the backup group of the Immovable Peak. It's like laughing your teeth out. You have to continue picking up the ball. At least a few months later, you will be eligible to fight me again. He is a backup team member who has played against more than a dozen people in a row, almost all of whom were 6.0 with 0 goals, and he hardly feels tired at all. This kind of performance is enough to illustrate the huge gap between the newcomer and him. His arrogance at this moment is not without reason. A group of newcomers dared not say much, facing the majesty of Ichiro Watanabe. They were as humble as ants. At this moment, Jiang Tianyu picked up his racket and walked through the crowd. Sorry, please make way, please make way. He is quite calm, neither urgent nor slow. The crowd quickly gave way to a path, but everyone's eyes showed sympathy. They all know very well that no matter who it is, playing is just being abused. Jiang Tianyu, the last one to come on stage, must be just like other newcomers. Ichiro Watanabe also had the same idea. Seeing that Jiang Tianyu was already standing on the other side of the court, he picked up a tennis ball and began to mock. Kid, I have already abused all of you once, but you didn't choose to give up. You have quite the courage. But I won't show mercy to you just because you're the last one to come on stage. I'm not excited yet. Let me put an end to today's selection competition with my most perfect performance. This meaning is already very obvious. For him, the first 10 games were easy and similar to warm-up. But Jiang Tianyu's answer almost angered Ichiro Watanabe's eyes. Senior Watanabe, can you hurry up a bit? Your serve is very lackluster. You. Ichiro Watanabe was slightly taken aback. Okay, if you want me to kick you out soon, then I'll do it for you. As soon as he finished speaking, Ichiro Watanabe's tennis ball had already been fiercely thrown out by him. Then, gently jump your feet up. The racket has already swept through the air. Pop. A crisp sound came. The tennis ball rushed towards Jiang Tianyu at an extremely fast speed. This serve seems to be even more intense than when he was playing against others before. I'll go. This ball is so fast. Did Senior Watanabe really just warm up before? Jiang Tianyu is unlucky. Senior Watanabe is in a hurry to end today's competition. This ball won't directly fly Jiang Tianyu, will it? The group of people around exclaimed in surprise, and the character of passerby was portrayed very well. However, for Jiang Tianyu on the field, Ichiro Watanabe's serve was incredibly slow. He shook his head in disappointment, then lifted his step slightly and arrived at the landing point of the ball. Then, as the tennis ball bounced away. Pop. The racket has already surged out. Too slow. A 3-word comment falls on the field. At the same time, tennis is like a lightning bolt. With a loud bang. The tennis ball landed directly next to Ichiro Watanabe, then floated and shook its tail, flying straight out of bounds. All of this happened so quickly that almost no one reacted. And the next second, the stadium had fallen into silence. The tennis ball kept rolling on the ground, while Ichiro Watanabe remained motionless and seemed bewildered. This is impossible. Chapter 3. The Posture of Crushing. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Ichiro Watanabe felt that he was probably dazzled. The tennis ball just now darted out from his side like lightning. In his imagination, the little ghost across from him should be scared by his tennis ball and unable to catch it. Now, the opponent's counterattack exceeded his imagination. Everyone else around was also stunned, and soon various screams kept ringing out. On the nearby stands, as the captain, Zhu Jiping's eyes suddenly flickered. He looked at Jiang Tianyu in the field and seemed to feel an unusual feeling. "Captain, that ball just now." As a regular member of the team, the divine tail deity was equally surprised. That kind of ball speed, in his opinion, could never be achieved by a newcomer in the tennis department. "Let's take a look again." Zhu Jiping quickly spoke with a deep voice. "Let's see if he really has the strength. I hope my feelings are right. With so many newcomers coming up, there must be one who can handle it, right?" Her eyes were slightly fixed, and Juji was noticeably more focused than before. On the field, Ichiro Watanabe had already regained his senses. He picked up the tennis ball and gave a gentle smile. "Hee, I didn't expect you to have some strength. Your hitting speed is pretty good. But just knowing how to hit the ball is not enough. Let me be a little more serious next." After speaking, he threw the tennis ball up again. Still using the same hitting posture as before, but this time, Ichiro Watanabe's strength and speed have increased. And his gaze was already sharp to the extreme. "Kid. If you have the ability, you can call back." With a sharp swipe, the tennis ball flew through the air and landed on the opposite half of the court. Unfortunately, Jiang Tianyu's response was still so cold. "Not enough. The speed is too slow. The strength is too weak. This kind of ball is simply impossible to watch." The racket swung casually, and Jiang Tianyu casually hit the tennis ball back again. Boom! It's as fast as thunder and lightning again. 2 consecutive goals. Ichiro Watanabe was unable to react. Let the tennis ball fly straight out of bounds and roll continuously on the ground. Until the referee's announcement pulled him back. 30. 30 is 0. It is obvious that the referee did not expect this last newcomer to score 2 goals in a row. If the first goal may still be a stroke of luck, then this second goal is truly remarkable. Zhu Jiping also made an instant judgment that Jiang Tianyu was definitely not on the same level as those newcomers before. The next second, he stood up directly. "Watanabe. Take it seriously. Use all your strength to deal with him." With a sudden drink, Ichiro Watanabe's body instinctively became agitated. And Zhu Jiping's words directly stirred up a storm among the surrounding crowd. "What? Captain Orange actually wants him to show all his strength. Can you say that Jiang Tianyu's strength is very strong?" Captain Orange was surprised. "Impossible, right? Jiang Tianyu, like us, is also a new talent. Newcomers. Those 2 shots just now looked like newcomers." Countless discussions keep going. As the center of discussion, Jiang Tianyu's face remained so indifferent. He was originally at a loss as to where his level was and whether his strength was enough. But now it seems that the strengthening fragments he caught have elevated his strength to an unimaginable level. A tennis player's 5 dimensions of speed, strength, reaction, technique, and creativity are comprehensive evaluation criteria. Among them, the first 3 are the foundation, while skills and creativity require further improvement. And through the confrontation just now, Jiang Tianyu is very clear that he has formed a complete 5-dimensional crush on Watanabe Ichiro. If in the game, Ichiro Watanabe is a level 20 expert, then Jiang Tianyu is at least at level 50 and above. The gap between them is too big. But Ichiro Watanabe clearly didn't know this. After hearing Jujihiai's command, he took a deep breath to calm his mind. Just a newcomer, how could he possibly be better than me? As long as I put in all my strength, this kid is definitely not a match. He just knows how to play a little tennis. I'm a backup player. I should crush him. His eyes became sharper and sharper, cutting towards Jiang Tianyu like a knife. Kid, I have to be serious now. Grip the tennis ball tightly. Ichiro Watanabe no longer has the same teasing as before. Soon. Bang. The tennis ball surged out, with much stronger speed and strength compared to just now. This time, I don't believe you can easily fight back. However, the next second, Jiang Tianyu's counterattack had already begun. Whoosh! Swiftly tennis, landing in an instant. With a bang. 40-0. Ichiro Watanabe is already numb. Even if he concentrated all his attention, he couldn't react. That tennis ball seems to have hit his lifeline. Senior Watanabe, your strength is a bit far behind. Jiang Tianyu didn't comment indifferently and shook his head, looking disappointed. Such words are a great insult to Ichiro Watanabe. As a backup team member, I was actually looked down upon by the newcomers like this. He is also a person with a temper. Next second. He roared angrily. Stinky kid. You even pretended to get 3 points out of you. Do you really think I can't beat you? Watch it. My overweight hitting. It definitely makes you wet your pants. As soon as these words were spoken, all the new students around were startled. What? A heavy hit. Senior Watanabe's signature serve. He actually wants to use his ultimate move. Oh no. I'm sure we can't beat it now. Watanabe Ichiro's overweight hit was his ultimate technique of concentrating all his strength on serving and returning the ball. Both speed and strength are more terrifying than any other shot. Originally, this tactic was impossible to use against new students. But he can't help it anymore. How can I be abused by new students? Since we need to use all our strength, let's completely destroy this new student. Next second. Whoosh! The tennis ball flew into the air. The muscles on Ichiro Watanabe's arm were already bulging, and he jumped high, hitting his racket directly at the tennis ball. Super heavy hit. Boom! Tennis flies straight past. Even with a buzzing sound. This hit, even the selected team member cannot underestimate it. He doesn't believe that Jiang Tianyu is a newcomer and can still counterattack under his overweight hit. At this moment, countless eyes in the audience were focused on Jiang Tianyu. Those newcomers think he must have suffered a lot. This ball is definitely impossible to play. On the stands, Jujiping was vaguely anticipating something. The next second, Jiang Tianyu's voice came again, still as effortlessly freehand as before. This ball doesn't work. It's too far off. Bang! Jiang Tianyu suddenly twitched his racket, and the super heavy hitting ball was instantly pulled out by him without any hindrance. With a whoosh. Black shadows sweep through the air. Ichiro Watanabe even just landed, but the tennis ball has already flown straight to the corner. Chapter 4. The ball is out of bounds. You are listening at novelfull.audio. I'm fighting back. Oh my goodness. Is it really fake? He's too exaggerated. Can this also counterattack? Is Jiang Tianyu's strength so powerful? In an instant, the crowd around had already begun to hear screams of shock. They never expected that Ichiro Watanabe's exceptional skill of hitting the ball was easily returned by Jiang Tianyu. That's a stroke that even regular players need to take seriously, but it's useless at this moment. Pop 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 pop. The sound of tennis balls rolling kept ringing. At this moment, Ichiro Watanabe inexplicably felt a deep sense of powerlessness. In his opinion, his hitting should have a huge advantage. Faced with a newcomer, as a backup team member, he should naturally be overwhelmed. But now my unique skill has been instantly cracked by the opponent. He couldn't believe that a newcomer could possess such strength. Who the hell are you? Ichiro Watanabe has become somewhat timid. Jiang Tianyu remained calm and said, Jiang Tianyu is just a newcomer to the tennis department. Senior Watanabe, let's finish this game quickly. This is a declaration, and also a complete contempt. At the beginning, Ichiro Watanabe wanted to end the selection competition as soon as possible. But now, the words come out of Jiang Tianyu's mouth. Ichiro Watanabe couldn't argue anything, hitting the ball 3 times was beyond his understanding. On the stands not far away, as the captain, Zhu Jiping's eyes were filled with passion. He even involuntarily became excited. Shenwei, this guy really looks like a good seedling. This rookie audition didn't disappoint me. Captain, is it necessary to continue playing this game? The god's tail held his chest in both hands and his eyes furrowed slightly. Judging solely from the speed and strength of those 3 shots, Ichiro Watanabe could never have been the opponent of Jiang Tianyu, and continuing to play would be a waste of time, wouldn't he? Fight. Let them continue fighting. But Zhu Jiping's voice was quite certain. The backup team also needs to beat and beat well, so that they don't think they can play tennis and look down on others. Exactly, now there's a newcomer teaching them a lesson, and I don't need to take action. As soon as the words fell, the game on the field had already resumed. Watanabe Ichiro did not give up, he continued to use his overweight hitting skills to find the flaw in Jiang Tianyu. For this, he had already bulging veins and almost used all his strength. However, every shot he made seemed so powerless in front of Jiang Tianyu. Bang! Another counterattack, accompanied by a black shadow passing by, followed by the tennis ball hitting the ground, bouncing back and rolling down. In less than 3 minutes, Ichiro Watanabe's serve was completely taken by Jiang Tianyu. How should I fight? Ichiro Watanabe is completely lost. But on second thought, just because Jiang Tianyu hits the ball well doesn't mean he also serves well. Maybe I can take advantage of his serve to get points. Yes. I haven't lost yet. Ichiro Watanabe regained his confidence. As a result, Jiang Tianyu's serve completely shattered his confidence. Boom. A ball flies out. The referee hasn't even reacted yet. When the tennis ball was out of bounds, everyone was stunned. After a long time, the spectators watching the ball around gradually heard waves of discussion. Ball. Where's the ball? Has it flown out of bounds? This is impossible, isn't it? This is too fast. Oh my goodness. I didn't even see it clearly. I really didn't see it clearly. Jiang Tianyu's serve was done in one go, and everyone only saw him raise his hand and lightly jump up. The ball flew out, landed, bounced back, as if it didn't even take a second. Too fast. It's really too fast. This serve seems to be even faster than Shenwei's fast serve, right? Zhu Jiping's eyes were slightly fixed, and his voice had already fallen. Next to him, the divine tail deity remained non-committal after listening. Perhaps faster than me, Captain, but I don't think a strong serve can beat me. Really? Do you want to have a fight with me? Zhu Jiping joked. After hearing this, the divine tail suddenly became excited. Although he's just a newcomer, I think it's okay to have a fight. It's impossible for Ichiro Watanabe to win, let me, the selected team member, give this newcomer a boost. Pinched his fist, the divine tail seemed to be unable to wait anymore. But the next second, Zhu Jiping's words exceeded the expectations of the deity. If you want to fight him, wait until next time. This time, I will personally take action. As soon as these words were spoken, the deity froze on the spot. What? Captain. Are you going to come in person? Isn't that necessary? Anyway, he's just a newcomer. How could it be that you, Captain, need to personally take action? Who is Zhu Jiping? The current captain of Bu Dong Feng. One of the former twin giants of Kyushu. In fact, power is undoubtedly at the national level. Just a newcomer, which round did Zhu Jiping take the initiative to clean up? But at this moment, Zhu Jiping's inner wariness could not be suppressed. It's rare to meet such a talented newcomer, and my hands are also itching. This Jiang Tianyu, as long as he can win a game in my hands, he can immediately enter the primary team. You should have no objection, right? Turning her head, Jujiping smiled at the corners of her mouth. The deity muttered its mouth. If he can really win a game in your hands, Captain, then I really don't mind. The other team members should also agree. But Captain, it's impossible to think about it, even we find it difficult to achieve. Jujiping is at the Immovable Peak, which is a completely pillar-like existence. Other team members, despite their strong abilities, only had the chance of being beaten when facing Jujiping. Therefore, Shen Wei-ming believed that if Jiang Tianyu and Jujiping played against each other, it would be good if they could get at most 2 or 3 points. The difficulty of winning the next round is simply too great. At this moment, Ichiro Watanabe on the field was gradually collapsing under the ravages of Jiang Tianyu. Bang! 30.0 bang! 40.0 bang! The second game is over, 2.0. It only took a few more minutes, and the ending speed was really too fast. With Jiang Tianyu's current 5-dimensional data, it is too easy to crush Ichiro Watanabe, and there is no need to even use the Flying Thunder God. This kind of confrontation is completely one-sided and there is no longer any suspense. Even though Ichiro Watanabe is still trying hard, Jiang Tianyu's hitting can shatter his confidence every time. About 10 minutes later, outside the court, the referee's voice had already sounded. This game is over, with a score of 6.0. Jiang Tianyu has qualified to enter the main selection group of the Immovable Peak. A simple sentence, but it indicates the terrifying strength of Jiang Tianyu. There were a total of 20 people in today's selection competition, and only Jiang Tianyu became the only newcomer to be promoted. Chapter 5. Does the captain personally take action? Seeking flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Oh my goodness. You really won. Jiang Tianyu has entered the backup group. Unbelievable. And it's still 6.0. He's also amazing. How did he practice? Countless spectators around were amazed one after another. They are both newcomers, and I thought Jiang Tianyu was similar to them. After all, Jiang Tianyu has been in a quiet and lukewarm state since entering the tennis department. I haven't had any particularly good performance, let alone heard about how powerful my strength is. Now, out of 20 people, only he has entered the backup group. And it also resulted in a 0 ban on Ichiro Watanabe. Thoroughly crush. As a friend, Chiuyang Tai was completely stunned. He still thought of comforting himself well after Jiang Tianyu lost. The result is good now, the other party doesn't need to comfort themselves at all, he seems to have become a clown. Wow, my friend is even more awesome than the backup group. I need to brag about it when I go out. Qi Liang touched his nose too much and his face became extremely excited. At this moment, Ichiro Watanabe had almost collapsed on the field. The first dozen or so games were almost like warmed up for him, and even without much physical exertion. The result is good now. After a game with Jiang Tianyu, he feels like he's useless. I am completely exhausted, with no more strength, even standing is very difficult. When he saw Jiang Tianyu walking towards him, Ichiro Watanabe even trembled with fear as his body turned back. You! Don't come over here. He has already been cast a psychological shadow. Jiang Tianyu was taken aback, stopped in his tracks, and then shook his head helplessly. If I had known earlier, I wouldn't have been so serious and would have added a little water. But it's not his fault, after all, he doesn't know what level of strength he has. Therefore, it can only be tested by Ichiro Watanabe. However, currently it seems that his strength and ability to crush the candidate group are indeed without any problem. And it only relies on basic abilities, there is no need to use the Flying Thunder God. Senior Watanabe, please accept. With a polite shout from afar, Jiang Tianyu gathered his rackets and prepared to return to the crowd. After the game, he has successfully entered the backup group. Next, as long as we find an opportunity to win over a member of the primary team, then his entry into the primary team is a sure thing. Who should we start with first? Jiang Tianyu didn't find any of the selected team members of Bu Dong Feng annoying. As he walked and thought, soon Jiang Tianyu spotted the divine tail deity on the nearby stands. Yes, let's start with him. This kid seems a bit ambiguous with Orange Apricot. Orange Apricot is such a beautiful woman, how could it be occupied by the divine tail? That must be me. No one knew that at this moment, Jiang Tianyu was actually thinking about this kind of thing in his heart. If Zhu Jiping and Shen Weiming hear Jiang Tianyu's voice, they may vomit blood on the spot. Just as Jiang Tianyu was about to leave the venue, a voice came from behind. Wait a moment. This sound instantly caught the attention of countless people around. Everyone looked up and soon saw Zhu Jiping, the head of the Bu Dong Feng tennis department, walking onto the field with his racket. After he came on the stage, there was no unnecessary nonsense and he went straight to the topic. You probably haven't had enough fun yet, have you? I just feel bored too. Come on, let's have a fight. As soon as these words were spoken, everyone else around was frightened. What? Captain Orange wants to fight Jiang Tianyu. What a joke. The captain actually took action himself. Ah. This is too chaotic, isn't it? Yeah, no matter how powerful Jiang Tianyu is, he can't possibly beat the captain. In the eyes of everyone in the Bu Dong Feng tennis department, Zhu Jiping is a divine presence. That is a solid national level, even in the entire Kanto region, there are not many people who are his opponents. Jiang Tianyu also stood still, turned around, with a puzzled expression on his face. Are you going to fight me? He thought he heard it wrong. Zhu Jiping nodded seriously, not joking at all. That's right, I'll play with you. If you can get a game under me, I can directly put you in the starting group. His words are resounding. You are a very good seedling, I want to see how much potential you have. Come on, don't be afraid, this is your best chance to enter the primary group. It is indeed the best opportunity. As long as you can win a game in the hands of Zhu Jiping, it is considered a success. This requirement, in the eyes of others, is simply like a pipe dream. Not to mention winning a game, winning 1 or 2 goals is likely to burn high incense. If it were them, the only option would be to flee in despair. After all, if you play against the captain, with the power of the captain's serve and hit, you may be killed. But for Jiang Tianyu, the opportunity mentioned by Zhu Jiping is truly real. Firstly, by confronting Zhu Jiping, he can better determine his own strength. Secondly, if he defeats Zhu Jiping, he will become completely famous in Bu Dong Feng. 3. If my brother is defeated, so is my sister. You're serious, don't go back on your word. Jiang Tianyu tried to confirm. Zhu Jiping nodded seriously and said, I never tell lies. For potential newcomers, I will only provide maximum support and cultivation, which is also the reason why I reorganized Bu Dong Feng. Jiang Tianyu believed this sentence. After all, the previous Bu Dong Feng tennis department was famous for its dominance in the far and near. Playing ball well is useless, boxing well is the king's way, the older you get, the more power you have to speak up. Zhu Jiping is a key figure in bringing the Bu Dong Feng tennis department back on track, and his thirst for talent and the desire to enhance Bu Dong Feng's strength are even more fervent. Quickly, Jiang Tianyu nodded. Okay, I agree. He walked back to the field with his racket in hand. The referee was also preparing to leave, but when he saw that the two were about to fight, he quickly sat back. Quickly, the voice of the referee came. Bu Dong Feng tennis department, Captain Zhu Jiping, facing newcomer Jiang Tianyu, the game is ready to start. In the first game, Captain Zhu Jiping serves. As soon as the words fell, Zhu Jiping had already grasped the tennis ball. His gaze did not show any disdain. Although the opponent was a newcomer, judging from the previous confrontation, Jiang Tianyu was probably more than he had imagined. At the same time, the crowd watching the competition around is also increasing. Many young boys and girls walking on the playground also gathered around the field. When they saw Zhu Jiping, the head of the tennis department, about to face a newcomer, everyone was shocked. Of course, shock comes from shock. No one thinks that Jiang Tianyu can really win. But as a newcomer, being able to compete with Zhu Jiping is an honor in itself. That's Zhu Jiping, one of the two giants in Kyushu. Chapter 6. Your moves are completely useless. Seeking. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Holding the tennis ball tightly in his hand, Zhu Jiping was observing Jiang Tianyu not far away. He found that the latter's face had always been calm, without any fluctuation. As the tennis department head of Bu Dong Feng, even though he is not as high profile as before, his reputation is still well known to many people. In theory, when facing oneself, one is still a newcomer. Even if they don't feel scared, they should still feel excited. After all, as a minister, he never fights against newcomers on a regular basis. But at this moment, Jiang Tianyu was more indifferent than all the people he met, and could even be said to be indifferent. It's like in the other person's eyes, I'm just an unknown little general. The mentality is quite good, but I don't know if you can still perform at the same level as before when you really fight. Zhu Jiping's eyes became increasingly sharp, and then the tennis ball in his hand had already been thrown into mid-air. His movements were like a lion, incredibly swift. The next second, the body jumped up and the racket had already swung fiercely. Come on. Let me see how capable you are as a newcomer. With a whoosh. The tennis ball slashed through the air and headed straight for the opposite court. As soon as an expert makes a move, he knows if there is one. Zhu Jiping's serve seems to be even more powerful than the overweight hit by Ichiro Watanabe earlier. As the minister of Immobable Peak, the strength can be seen from this serve alone. Countless people around were watching the tennis ball fall, and they didn't even dare to breathe. You truly deserve to be a minister. The power of this serve is so strong. It's completely different from the previous senior Watanabe. They all feel that in the face of such tennis, Jiang Tianyu should not be able to catch it, right? But soon, Jiang Tianyu's reaction exceeded their expectations. Facing the arrival of tennis, Jiang Tianyu's speed is actually faster than tennis. The tennis ball had just landed when Jiang Tianyu had already arrived at the landing point. Then, the racket suddenly took off with the wind. Go back. Bang. The speed of this ball is no slower than Zhu Jiping's serve. Just like a yellow flash, it flew back to the half where Orange Jiping was in an instant. Zhu Jiping was slightly stunned, but after the tennis ball landed, he did not go to pick it up. Let the tennis ball bounce out of bounds and keep rolling down. And his entire face was already covered in a burst of surprise. Did you call back? This ball, although not my full strength, is definitely not something that can be easily returned. Of course, if Jiang Tianyu had hit the ball back, he wouldn't have been surprised. What really made him feel unbelievable was that Jiang Tianyu's counterattack was too easy. There is no feeling of force, just an ordinary swing. It's as if his ball is no different from that of Ichiro Watanabe. It seems that this kid is even more powerful than I imagined. In an instant, Zhu Jiping had already made a judgment in her heart. Subsequently, the tennis ball in his hand continued to fly out. With the swing of the racket, with a whoosh. The tennis ball once again flew towards the opposite half, and this time, the angle was even more tricky. Not far away, I saw the increasing strength and speed of Zhu Jiping's serve, and the divine tail also frowned slightly. The minister seems to have started taking things seriously. Did that new kid actually put so much pressure on the minister? As members of the Bu Dong Feng tennis team, they have actually played against Zhu Jiping. However, so far, no one has really made Zhu Jiping serious. As a result, Jiang Tianyu on the field only used one counterattack, which made Zhu Jiping's face different from usual. Immediately after, under the gaze of the divine tail, Jiang Tianyu's second ball had already returned. Bang! The tennis ball lands with a powerful bouncing force. This time, Zhu Jiping was not stunned, but instead moved forward and swung the racket at the fastest speed. However, when the racket and tennis ball just touched each other, his entire face instantly became solemn. This kind of force. How could it be? Feeling the surging force emanating from the tennis ball, Zhu Jiping felt as if her arms were about to be numbed by that force. If judged by his standards, this tennis ball is enough to serve as a trump card for some selected players, as an overweight shot to counter the enemy. What a powerful guy. But I'm not that simple either. His eyes were once again sharp and sharp. Zhu Jiping, with a slight force in her footsteps, her body suddenly spins sideways. With a swish. He used the angle of lateral rotation to directly remove a lot of force from the tennis ball. And this side spin also flashed across the court with a very eerie curve in an instant. With a bang. The tennis ball fell to the ground. But when it bounced, the tennis ball did not bounce forward along the predetermined trajectory. Instead, it stayed on the ground for less than a second and then bounced out in the opposite direction. Seeing this scene, the crowd around was instantly surprised. Wow! What kind of ball is this? It turned around in the opposite direction. The minister is so impressive. This kind of ball technique must be very difficult. This is an out-spin return ball, you newcomers can't even reach it. Suddenly, a voice sounded from behind the crowd, and upon hearing this, they quickly turned around to look. The next second, I saw a young man with blue hair and a tall figure slowly passing through the crowd. He was holding a racket in his hand, continuously hitting the ball from the side with a crisp clattering sound. And next to him, there was another guy with a towel wrapped around his head. Senior Wu, Senior Ishida. Several newcomers have already recognized the identity of the newcomers, the two of whom are the regular team members of Bu Dong Feng, Wu Shenxi in singles, and Ishida Tai in doubles. As a regular team member, I have a strong presence. Just standing in place makes other newcomers feel suffocated. However, at this moment, the two of them were clearly not looking at the newcomers, but were all forgetting towards the stadium. Dealing with a rookie kid, the minister actually used an out-spin return ball directly. That rookie kid doesn't seem too easy. Wu Shenxi's tone is deep and profound. He thought the selection round had already ended, so he came to train. However, as soon as he entered the stadium, he saw his own minister fighting against the inexperienced newcomers. This kind of scene, not moving peaks, has never happened before. Ishida Tai was also surprised. Does that little ghost seem different? Does it mean that the minister is interested in his potential? As he was speaking, the spin ball was about to go out of bounds. In everyone's opinion, it is impossible to return this ball. The result is next second. Whoosh! Jiang Tianyu's physical reaction completely exceeded everyone's expectations. He started off in the opposite direction and made a good comeback posture. Suddenly, he turned around in the opposite direction and caught up with the direction the tennis ball flew out. Chapter 7. Shocked team members. You are listening at novelfull.audio. What speed is this? On the sidelines, everyone watching the ball suddenly exclaimed in surprise. Even Wu Shenxi and Ishida Tai have widened their eyes. And then. Pop. Jiang Tianyu's return was clean and sharp, with a ball flying straight to the bottom corner of Zhu Jiping. And there, it's the dead end of Zhu Jiping. With a bang. The dropped tennis ball instantly bounced out of bounds and quickly rolled off the ground. The referee who was watching seemed surprised and hesitated for a moment before shouting out loud. 30-0. I can't believe that as the head of the tennis department, Zhu Jiping was hit twice by a newcomer. Zhu Jiping was also a bit dazed. In fact, the ball just now was enough to be called a killer shot. External spin return shot, although the techniques are easy to learn. For the selected team members, it is not a particularly advanced return shot. But it's not easy to use it well in actual combat, especially in counterattacks. Most of the spin shots are used for serving, so the direction and strength of the ball can be controlled by oneself. As a minister, he has sufficient skills, so it is not difficult for him to make a comeback. And this kind of topspin return is enough to make many skilled players feel a headache. After all, the angle of the spin return ball is completely opposite to the direction of the bounce of a regular tennis ball. Once the opposing player chooses a normal return angle, they will inevitably be unable to catch up with the direction of the tennis ball's bounce, and can only open their eyes to watch the tennis ball go out of bounds. To return such a topspin ball, one must have extraordinary speed and adjustment ability, and responsiveness is of utmost importance. And Jiang Tianyu's counterattack can be considered perfect. After the ball bounced off the ground, he adjusted his speed too quickly. Even in Zhu Jiping's view, the latter had no thinking behavior and simply chased towards the tennis ball based on his physical instincts. Is this guy really a genius? Zhu Jiping is increasingly valued. Meanwhile, as a successful counterattack, Jiang Tianyu remains extremely indifferent. In fact, the previous counterattack seemed too simple for him. He was originally worried that when facing Zhu Jiping, he might not be as relaxed as when facing Ichiro Watanabe. But it's obvious that he underestimated himself too much. Over the past week, he has caught too many reinforcement fragments. Therefore, the strengthening of his 5 dimensions is too exaggerated. When the forward ball landed first, he could easily return it by relying solely on his reaction, making it incredibly easy. So, it seems that my 5 dimensions are even more powerful than Zhu Jiping. I'm really curious, what is my current 5-dimensional data? Jiang Tianyu had some doubts in his mind. And just as he thought about it, the system seemed to have already reacted. Soon, the sound of the system had already sounded in his mind. So far, the host has caught 150 enhanced fragments. 15 speed fragments have been strengthened by 300 points. 15 power fragments have been strengthened by 400 points. 15 reaction fragments have been strengthened by 300 points. 15 skill fragments have been strengthened by 300 points. Create 15 fragments, which have been strengthened by 200 points. The host's current 5-dimensional data is 1500. Detailed information was quickly listed. 15,000. Jiang Tianyu himself was shocked. If I remember correctly, the average person's 5-dimensional data in the world of Internet Kings is only around 10, an exaggerated 20, right? 1005 for oneself. Is this too extreme? And soon, the system clarified the reason. The players in this world have greatly improved their 5-dimensional data, and breaking the 100-dimensional data of skilled players is just the foundation. Ah! You even know this. Aren't you a fishing system? Is it difficult for me to come into this world and be controlled by you? Jiang Tianyu immediately retorted. The next second, the system whistled in Jiang Tianyu's mind. Jiang Tianyu was speechless, but he didn't ask further. At least for now, his 5-dimensional data is already exaggerated enough. Although I don't know the level of Zhu Jiping on the other side, the previous 2 hits have given Jiang Tianyu enough confidence. I thought there were too many ways to enhance fragment fishing, which delayed my ability to overcome the sky. But now it seems that it is precisely because of the strengthening fragments that he has been given an extremely terrifying foundation. Therefore, when facing Zhu Jiping serving again, Jiang Tianyu's expression became more calm. Go back. The swing of the racket was too easy, and Jiang Tianyu's counterattack did not show any difficulty at all. The spin ball is not good, and Zhu Jiping used a side spin from another direction to find it. In addition, he constantly increased his strength in several shots. That kind of strength, even other selected players will find it tricky, at least no one can easily fight back. However, what surprised Zhu Jiping was that all of this had no effect on Jiang Tianyu. The more he played, the more he felt something was wrong. He had thought that as a newcomer, Jiang Tianyu should not be too solid in terms of foundation. But Jiang Tianyu gave him the feeling of being an old hand who had been immersed in the tennis industry for many years. No matter what kind of ball he uses to return, Jiang Tianyu can always come back more easily. How on earth did this guy practice? A question had already arisen in Zhu Jiping's mind. Unconsciously, a few minutes passed. The first round has ended, and as the minister, Zhu Jiping was unexpectedly knocked out 1.0 by Jiang Tianyu, and it was a clean sheet 1.0. Minister. The deity looked dumbfounded. This is completely different from what he originally expected. In theory, with the formidable strength of our own minister, playing against a newcomer should be overwhelming. Now, on the contrary, our own minister has been crushed in the first round. Shenwei, what's going on? Where did that newcomer come from? Before long, the voice of Imu Shensi had already arrived. Shenwei Ming turned his head and saw that Iwu Shensi and Ishida Tai were already sitting on the steps. Then he frowned and said, "He is a newcomer from our tennis department participating in the selection competition, and his name is Jiang Tianyu." Originally, the selection competition was for Ichiro Watanabe to assess them, and he had already overwhelmed all the newcomers, but it turned out that Jiang Tianyu didn't know where he came from. As soon as he appeared earlier, he hit Ichiro Watanabe 6.0, and from start to finish, Ichiro Watanabe didn't even get any points. With his explanation, Ichiro Watanabe, who was standing next to him, lowered his head in shame. Imu Shinji and Ishida Tetsu were slightly shocked. The former touched his chin and said, "Watanabe is at least the ace of the backup team. Even us cannot achieve 0 wins. That kid, how could he be so powerful? Not giving a penny. Yeah, I can't believe it either." When the minister said he wanted to have a fight with him in person, I thought the minister was too alarmed. Chapter 8. Rampage of the Lion. Seeking Flowers, Seeking Evaluation. You are listening at novel.Audio. The deity spread his hand and couldn't understand why a newcomer could become so strong. As he was speaking, Jiang Tianyu's serve was already unstoppable on the court, hitting Zhu Jiping's half with a fierce bombardment. This serve is so impressive. Zhu Jiping frowned tightly. As soon as the racket touched the tennis ball, a terrifying force had already spread through his arm. That feeling is no different from Ishida Tai's wave ball. The most crucial thing is that Jiang Tianyu, who played this kind of ball, still had a light expression on his face. It seems that for him, this is nothing at all. It seems that my estimate of him is still too low. Such a master who doesn't move the peak must be accepted. But before that, don't underestimate me. Roar. An inexplicable lion roar came. An extremely unusual aura instantly emanated from Zhu Jiping's body. Countless spectators around were also startled when they saw this behind the scenes. Because at this moment, Zhu Jiping in the field seemed to have completely changed, and his face became extremely fierce. And that posture also seemed like a fierce beast. A red aura lingered behind Orange Jiping, adding a killing aura. That's the rampaging lion. The Shenwei Ming and others instantly realized that the next second, they had already opened their mouths wide. Rampage Lion. One of Zhu Jiping's unique skills. Once unleashed, the returning ball will split into countless illusions in mid-air and then smash towards the opponent with extremely strong force. This kind of move has a terrifying attack power. If not well controlled, the opponent may even be injured on the spot by his tennis ball. Of course, Zhu Jiping did not completely liberate his own strength. He just wants to use his unique skills to test how strong Jiang Tianyu is. Come on. Let me see how you fight back. Roar. Another lion roar. Jiang Tianyu's serve was hit with stronger force by Zhu Jiping. That tennis ball, spinning at high speed in mid-air. A red aura has enveloped the tennis ball. Another second. The tennis ball started to tremble violently. Then under the horrified gaze of countless people. Schwa. 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 Tennis illusions generated at high speeds appeared instantly in mid-air and then hit the ground. This move, in addition to being extremely powerful, can also disrupt the opponent's vision. After all, there are so many tennis illusions that just looking at them gives me a headache, let alone finding the true essence from these tennis balls. It's impossible to catch this ball, right? How impressive. The minister is also too exaggerated. So many tennis balls, which one is real? You guys listen to the sound of tennis balls falling, it's so terrifying. Everyone was already stunned by fear. Even the gods and their companions all felt a strong palpitations. That was the result of being influenced by the aura of Jujuping. In front of the lion, they felt incredibly small. That guy can't catch this ball. I Wu Shenxi made a definite judgment. The unique skill of the team captain, even if the newcomer is even more powerful, it is impossible to counterattack. But the next second. Whoosh! Jiang Tianyu's figure instantly leaped towards the tennis ball landing. Despite his incredible 5-dimensional data, he has amazing reflexes, which also represents his exceptional sensory abilities. Although there are many tennis balls, only the tennis balls that truly envelop your aura are the essence. As long as you can tell this, it's not difficult to counterattack a tennis ball like this. In just one sentence, Jiang Tianyu revealed the weakness of the rampaging lion. Orange Jipping across from him was obviously very surprised, but he quickly spoke up and said, "Even so, the power of my ball is not beyond your imagination. Give up, Jiang Tianyu. You can't come back with this ball. Power. Your power is not enough." Jiang Tianyu's indifferent voice seemed to be a merciless judgment. Subsequently, the power of the right hand suddenly increased. With a burst of muscle swelling, Jiang Tianyu's racket instantly pierced the air. Bang! He hit the tennis ball fiercely. What? Did you actually fight back? This is impossible. This is one of the minister's unique skills. Oh my goodness. His strength can withstand it. The voices of the crowd exclaimed one after another, but none of them noticed that when Jiang Tianyu retaliated, his left hand suddenly lifted and made a few sealing movements. And the tennis ball flying in the air also suddenly flashed a mark on it, then quickly disappeared. Schwa! The tennis ball quickly penetrated into Orange Jipping's half. The latter's pupils widened, completely unaware that his shot would be so easily hit back. He quickly caught up and his breath continued to surge. But when he swung his racket and caught the tennis ball, the power was even more exaggerated than before. But, damn it! What kind of power is this? Jujuping gritted his teeth. Although his right hand wanted to continue exerting force, the impact of the ball had already made his arm feel numb and tingling. Next second. Clack. His racket flew out in an instant and landed on the ground. And the tennis ball also flew forward, then kept bouncing and rolling on the ground. This scene has a tremendous impact on the onlookers around. After a long silence, there were intermittent screams of surprise. The minister's racket was knocked away. This is too incredible. Is Jiang Tianyu's power so strong? I'll go. Even the rampaging lion can't do anything about him. No one could have anticipated the situation of this confrontation. Newcomers, regular team members. They looked at the expression on the field, one by one as if they had seen a devil. Monster. A complete monster. Shen Wei-ming has always been dissatisfied with anyone, except for Jujuping. He believes that his strength in the tennis department is unmatched. But at this point, it seems that this newcomer Jiang Tianyu is completely an unreasonable monster. He also had a tie with Juji, but his best record was just winning 2 or 3 goals. If he is in good form, he may be able to win a game. Of course, the premise for all of this is that Jujiping doesn't have to resort to his own rampaging lion. After all, with the power of a rampaging lion, the slender arms of the divine tail cannot withstand it. Now, Jiang Tianyu's fierce counterattack has directly broadened his horizons. Jiang Tianyu looks very thin, but why is his counterattack so easy? No one can understand this question. He is like this, Imu Shensi is like this, and Ishida Tai is like this. On the field, it was even more difficult to understand Juju Jiping, who was standing indifferent. Gently lifting her right hand, Jujiping moved her fingers a few times, and the tingling sensation had not yet dissipated. However, this also aroused his competitiveness. Come again. The next second, Jujiping had already picked up the racket. Chapter 9. The arrival of 2 journalists, seeking flowers. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The showdown on the Bu Dong Feng Stadium is still ongoing, and more onlookers have already surrounded the stadium tightly. And as other selected tennis team members gradually appeared on the court, they looked at the situation inside the field and felt a strong impact one by one. At this point, in the direction of the teaching building, inside a certain classroom, Orange Apricot, who had just finished class, was about to go downstairs and buy a Coke to drink. As soon as she left the classroom, she saw many people rushing towards the direction of the court. Strange, isn't the selection round over yet? Today's new player selection competition in the tennis department, whoever can pass the assessment will be able to enter the reserve group of Bu Dong Feng. For newcomers, this is an excellent opportunity to prove themselves. Orange Apricot thought the selection competition had already ended, but now it seems that it is still in full swing. It's also good. If it's not over yet, it means there's a talented newcomer, which can enhance Bu Dong Feng's strength. Brother will also be very happy. Picking up the cola from the vending machine, Orange Apricot smiled lightly at the corner of her mouth. But the next second, a sound came. Xing, have you finished class? Didn't you go to watch the game? Ju Xing turned around and found that she was the selected team member, Yaya Sakurai, who seemed to have just finished class. What's wrong? There's not much to watch in the selection competition. I'll go and see it when you have your ranking competition in a couple of days. She quickly replied. Sakurai Yaya kept walking and continued to speak as she passed by. Just now, I heard from the person on the other side of the field that there are amazing newcomers in the selection round, who are playing against our minister. Fight with your brother. Yes. It's still continuing now. Brother is so powerful, how could he fight a newcomer? Isn't this really cruel? Orange Apricot didn't think much and shook her head helplessly. She never doubted her brother's strength. But Sakurai Yaya quickly said, it seems like the situation is not very optimistic. Anyway, I'm not sure. I'll go over first, and I'll have to train later. Waving her hand, Sakurai Yaya quickly disappeared into the corner of the hallway. Orange Apricot stood in place with a skeptical expression on her face. Not too optimistic. Who are you talking about? Is it your own brother? How could that be possible? With my brother's strength, there is no match for him in the tennis department, let alone newcomers. Orange Apricot didn't pay much attention and wanted to go upstairs directly. But after taking a few steps, she still turned around and headed towards the direction of the court. Forget it, anyway, the next class will be self-study. Let's go and take a look before we talk. On the other side, at the entrance of Bu Dong Feng School. Senior Inoue, why don't we come to Dongfeng here? Their tennis department doesn't seem to be strong. A beautiful journalist wearing sunglasses looked puzzled as she picked up her camera and took 2 symbolic photos at the school gate. She is an intern journalist at the tennis magazine, named Jisha Ji. Today, I came out and thought I was going to interview some of the top universities in Tokyo with my senior colleagues to do an exclusive interview. As a result, we have suddenly arrived at the Immovable Peak. Although Ji is a novice journalist, she still has some knowledge about tennis. But she has also heard that the strength of Bu Dong Feng is also ranked last in the entire Tokyo region. Moreover, it is said that there is also a serious campus bullying here. What is there to interview in such a place? Jisha weaving is really not understood. Quickly, Inoue Sho walked forward and shook his head. Shaji, don't think that way. The current Bu Dong Feng is already different from before. Is it different? What's different? Is it possible that this place has become a girls' school now? Ji joked. Inoue Sho let out a helpless sigh, then presented his work permit and walked towards the campus with Jisha weaving. As he walked, he explained. The previous Bu Dong Feng did not have much significance for interviews. The tennis department was heavily bullied, and powerful players couldn't get on. A group of elderly people were sitting dead without food. But it is said that just last October, a big event happened at the Bu Dong Feng Tennis Club. Big deal. What's going on? Ji was extremely puzzled, as he had just arrived at the magazine company at the end of last year. Inoue Sho continued, that was a violent incident, and there was a serious conflict between the new and old members of the Bu Dong Feng tennis department. And it was this opportunity that the newcomer who took the lead in causing trouble successfully reorganized the entire tennis department and recruited many other talented newcomers. Are you saying that the current Bu Dong Feng tennis department is completely different from before? That's right, that's also why I came over. Maybe you've heard of the guy who reorganized the tennis department. Who is it? Ji blinked curiously. Soon, the voice of Inoue Sho came. Orange Jipping. Orange Jipping. Jisha weaving hesitated slightly. She pondered for a few seconds, only feeling that the name seemed somewhat familiar. Where did you hear that? It's over, I don't seem to remember. Upon seeing the situation, Inoue felt even more helpless. Shaji, it seems that you still need to strengthen your knowledge in this area. Ju Jipping, the ace player of the former Shizel High School, and another ace, Qiansui Qianli, are known as the Kyushu Twin Heroes. His strength is undoubtedly at the national level. It is also my goal for this interview. Kyushu Twin Heroes. Jisha weaves her red lips lightly, which is somewhat unexpected. How could such a powerful player suddenly turn around without moving the peak? Senior Inoue, what's going on? I'm not quite sure either. This interview was conducted to understand Bu Dong Feng and prepare for the upcoming regional competition coverage. Additionally, I wanted to inquire about the reason why he switched to Bu Dong Feng. Inoue Sho's expression is serious. Such a powerful expert suddenly disappeared into the Tokyo area, and there must be underlying reasons behind it. Shaji, you need to keep a detailed record of the upcoming report. This will also be a workout for you. Upon hearing this, Jisha finally put aside her carelessness and nodded. Yes. I know Senior Inoue. I will definitely help you dig out the reason for his transfer. Make a big news. Not long after, the two of them had already arrived at the stadium. At this moment, a group of densely packed people had already surrounded the stadium. Strange, is there a competition at Bu Dong Feng today? Inoue Shomyen showed confusion and continued to squeeze in with Jisha weaving. When I reached the front position, I looked inside the court and the next second, two players caught my eye. One of them, holding his racket indifferently, looked coldly ahead. The person across from him was panting heavily and kneeling on one knee. Inoue Sho was extremely puzzled, only feeling that the guy kneeling on one knee was very familiar. Then, he quickly took out a magazine from his pocket and flipped through it. When I flipped through one of the photos and carefully compared it with the person on the field, Inoue Sho had already opened his mouth in surprise. He He's Jujiping. But why? Why would he kneel on the ground? Who's fighting him? Chapter 10. True Skills. Explosive balls dancing wildly. You are listening at novelfull.audio. On the other side, in the stands. Seeing the situation on the field, all the team members of Bu Dong Feng were shocked and opened their mouths wide. Orange Apricot has just arrived, and after arriving at the stadium, she has not recovered yet. As a younger sister, she is very clear about her brother's strength. Almost none of the team members behind me could hold on for more than 10 minutes in my brother's hands. Jujiping, who possesses national strength, is vastly different from the level of strength of his team members. And now, how could a newcomer bring so much pressure to his brother, even knocking down Jujiping? Orange Apricot and Vermilion Lips lightly nibbled on the shell teeth, and her face was no longer as relaxed as when she first arrived. On the field, Jujiping was still gasping for breath. Impossible, he actually brought back every time I rampaged the lion. This guy. Doesn't his defense have any flaws? Thanks to his exceptional willpower, otherwise he would have collapsed now. After playing 4 games, from the second game onwards, he kept attacking with the rampaging lions. As a result, every attack was useless in front of Jiang Tianyu. His serve, his hit, all hit back. Moreover, Jiang Tianyu's counterattack became even more terrifying. Even the minister who remained unmoved felt increasingly exhausted and needed to put in more effort to fight back. Under such a confrontation, his physical exertion speed was far more exaggerated than he had imagined. This is just the end of the 4th round, and I feel like I'm about to collapse. Damn it. How could I fall here? The game is not over yet, I haven't lost. Clenching her fist, Jujiping's self-esteem was constantly exploding at this moment. At least he was also one of the former twin towers of Kyushu, and at least he was also the minister of Bu Dong Feng. What kind of behavior is it to be beaten up like this now? Jiang Tianyu on the opposite side was indeed stronger than he expected, but this is not a reason for him to give up now. Quickly, Jujiping stood up again. Although sweating profusely and looking somewhat disheveled, the fierce fighting spirit in his eyes did not diminish at all, but instead became stronger. Come again. Come again. Jujiping roared angrily. Master Orange, use your explosive ball to dance wildly. Jiang Tianyu's sudden words stunned Jujiping on the spot. After a long time, Jujiping finally realized. Do you know how to dance with explosive balls? Jiang Tianyu did not answer, but continued to prepare for hitting the ball. And the next second, Jujiping's eyes were instantly sharp. Jiang Tianyu, my explosive ball dance is a very dangerous skill. If you use it, I'm not sure what your fate will be. This is a fact. Jujiping's explosive balls dance wildly, with terrifying power. This is an enhanced version of the Rampage Lion and also one of Jujiping's biggest trump cards. Once played, the tennis ball will appear like a rampaging lion, with countless clones before being thrown towards the ground. However, the difference is that the trajectory of the explosive ball dancing is completely unpredictable. Even if it's Jujiping himself, once he hits the explosive ball and dances wildly, he has no idea where the trajectory of the ball will fly. And the clones generated by tennis due to its ultra-high speed also have unpredictable trajectories. This type of tennis is very powerful and easy to score. Because it is almost impossible for opponents to predict the landing point of the tennis ball, they are unable to make a counterattack. However, the downside is that it can easily cause injury. The direction of the tennis ball is not fixed, and Jujiping can only try to control the tennis ball to fall within bounds. Because of this, flying towards one's face and body is also a common occurrence. His friend Qiansui Qianli was injured in the eye by a ball explosion while playing against him. Until now, Jujiping still has a considerable amount of guilt in her heart. He will turn around and not move the peak, dyeing his original yellow hair black, precisely because he injured his friend. At this moment, Jiang Tianyu asked him to take out the explosive ball and dance wildly, obviously not expecting the consequences. I can't use that move, I can't hurt anyone else anymore. After a while, Jujiping spoke firmly. But Jiang Tianyu shook his head. If you're afraid of hurting me, then you don't have to worry about that. I just want to see with my own eyes what the explosive ball dance looks like. Or are you afraid that I might throw the explosive ball back into chaos, so don't you dare? This statement is clearly a provocation and a pure provocation. As usual, it is almost impossible for Jujiping to be deceived. His calmness is well known in the Immovable Peak, and his provocative tactics are useless to him. But now he has almost reached his limit state, and his brain's thinking has long been somewhat paralyzed. He is all about winning the game and proving his strength as the Minister of Immovable Peak. Therefore, his right hand holding the racket suddenly creaked. That's a wave of anger accumulating. Jiang Tianyu. Don't provoke my tennis. Come on, Captain Orange. Is your explosive ball dancing really bragging? I want to see it with my own eyes. Don't provoke me. Roar. Suddenly, a lion roared. The surrounding audience was also startled when they saw the situation. After looking towards the field again, they noticed that the red aura behind Jujiping seemed to become more solid than before. It's like there's really a lion behind him. Senior Inoue. Is this playing tennis? Isn't this too unscientific? Beside the railing, Jisha Weaver had already looked silly. Her understanding of tennis is just the kind of entertainment activity where you play back and forth with each other. But can the red aura behind Juji's flat body be explained by tennis balls? Magic. This is magic. Inoue Sho was much calmer than him and pushed his glasses. Shaji, so I say your understanding of tennis is still too shallow. Don't think that middle school students' tennis is just a simple leisure activity. Watch it, this may broaden your horizons. The unique skills of national-level experts are not so easy to appear. His eyes were clearly filled with anticipation. Is this the lion orange Jipping? It's really not easy. Xing, what's going on with Minister's appearance? On the stands, a group of team members were full of confusion. Although they have seen Orange Jipping's rampaging lion, they have never seen the captain behave like this before. The red aura is too solid. A deep-seated fear of beasts has already surged into their minds. Zhu Xing did not answer, but her face became increasingly worried. She knew that her brother was going to come up with stronger skills. But, brother, this will hurt someone again.